So, hello everybody. Glad you're here. I had a lot of adult children coming in to ask me for help with their parents, and they had this look on their face that was like they'd been blindsided. They had no idea. And they said to me with a straight face, I just was not expecting this. And inside my judgmental brain, I was thinking, what were you thinking? Like, of course this is going to happen. But I realized that I knew a lot of things about the healthcare systems, the financial systems, that in your regular daily life you don't know. And then you have a crisis and you're trying to make decisions quickly in a lot of complicated settings, hence the book. I'm a care manager by profession, aginglifecare.org, if you want that website. I'm a nursing home administrator, worked in the CCRC arena, and I've been in the industry for 40 years. And my hope is that I can help you. It's a privilege to be here, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Amy is going to be here in a little bit talking to us. And I'll tell you what I asked Amy to talk about today, because she deals with this so much. This book, by the way, is great. I have a very good friend of mine who called me about 3 months ago and said, Kathy, my dad fell. He's at Riverside Hospital. She called me on a Saturday and she said, they told me that I need to know where to send him by Monday. They're letting him go. And she was in an absolute panic. What's out there? What does it cost? What do we do? And I said, it's probably too late, but read this book real quick. But anyway, this book is all about navigating that maze, about what is available to you, what you should pre-plan for, what you should know. So this is wonderful. It's available at our table, and Amy will sign it. Go by her table and she'll sign it for you. But today what I asked her to talk about, and I'd love for you to stay around and hear her, is it is so hard. It is so emotionally hard to downsize and to, if you heard a lot of laughing in that group over there, we were talking about getting rid of stuff, and everybody gets a laugh out of various things, but it's not funny when it's you, when you're having to do it. So I said, Amy, with all your wisdom, could you come talk to us about why it's so hard and maybe some strategies for getting past that so that we can really look forward to this last third of our life and live it to its fullest instead of being captive to our big houses or our stuff. So Amy's going to be here later to talk to us about that. But thank you, Amy. Give her a big hand. I'm so glad she's here to meet with us. All right, Andy, who do we have coming up?
All right. Thanks, Kathy. So up next, and as a realtor, this Anne-Marie, this is one of my favorite topics. If you're over the age of 62, you're really going to like to hear what Anne-Marie has to say. But Anne-Marie's going to talk to us about doubling your purchasing power for your next home. Now, introducing Anne-Marie, she's an author, speaker, home equity conversion mortgage expert, and sought-after TV and radio guest. However, what she enjoys most is helping boomers, 62 years and older, purchase their dream home without depleting a large portion of your savings. So, with that, Anne-Marie, I'd like to welcome you up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to hold it, or you want to?
Sure.
Get you a clicker too.
Okay. It's great to be here. I have had the pleasure and honor of working with folks in this age group now for 14 years, helping them get into their dream home in retirement without using all the cash and putting it all in their house, and without having a monthly mortgage payment. So the main reason in retirement that folks use cash to buy their final home is why? What are you trying to avoid? Don't want a monthly mortgage payment in retirement. I've never met anyone yet that does. I do weekly seminars, and I ask folks on the seminar every week, how many of you want a mortgage payment in retirement? Nobody ever raises their hand. And the only way they could accomplish that prior to using this program would be to put all the cash in their home. Well, now this program, 14 years into it, sounds like a long time. In my life or your life, 14 years is a while. But in the mortgage industry, this program is in its infancy. It hasn't even scratched the surface. And most people don't know it exists.
And everybody says, well, Anne-Marie, this is like the best kept secret. Why doesn't anybody know about this? And there's really 3 reasons most people don't know about it. Number 1, 14 years is not a long time in the mortgage industry. Number 2, local banks don't offer it. You can't walk into your Chase or your PNC or your Bank of America and say, I want to use this lifestyle home loan. They won't know what you're talking about. It's a very niche program. They're more mainstream. And the 3rd reason most people don't know this exists is because it is not advertised. So I have been successful sharing this program with folks by working with builders, realtors, and getting the word out that way because they're the frontline people you run into every day. So I'm going to share a few highlights about this program in the next 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to invite you to an opportunity to get into the details of the program. You have an opportunity to do a deep dive. How many Zoomers are out there? How many people don't Zoom? A few. Okay. Zoom is the Zoom meetings online. So we're going to give you an opportunity to learn more. If that doesn't work for you, we can also give you a one-on-one meeting. So we're going to get you in your dream home, not having a mortgage payment. And Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, I'm an employee of Mutual of Omaha. Anybody heard of Mutual of Omaha before? Wild Kingdom? Yes. Well, they have taken on the mortgage industry about probably 6-7 years ago because they found that it fit very well with their demographic. The 62-plus insurance people also are looking at downsizing and right-sizing. So we actually not co-branded, but white-labeled the name Lifestyle Home Loan. The technical name for this mortgage is HECM for Purchase, Home Equity Conversion Mortgage for Purchase. It is an FHA insured mortgage, so it's insured by the government. There's a huge benefit to that, and I'm going to talk about that more in detail in the Zoom seminar. And it basically allows you to purchase that next home for a percentage of the purchase price. So if you pull out your folder and look in your folder, you should have a page that looks like this. It's got a mini chart on it. It's on the right-hand side of the folder. And it shows different purchase prices. So if you look across the top, it shows $250,000, $350,000, and $500,000 purchase price. This program is age-based lending, so it is based on the age of the youngest borrower. So if there are 2 of you and one of you is 70, the youngest is 70, you would look at 70 years old. You'd go across and let's say you're buying a $350,000 home. You can buy that $350,000 home for $235,000, and that's it. One and done. You write a check for $235,000, which most people are doing this out of the sale of their home. They're getting the proceeds to buy their new home from the sale of their existing home, and they never have a monthly mortgage payment. Now, Mutual of Omaha brings the difference, so you're wondering, how does that work, Anne-Marie? Well, you bring your $235,000, Mutual of Omaha brings the difference, and then you never have a monthly mortgage payment. You still are responsible for your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and your HOA if there's an HOA. Now keep in mind these numbers change weekly. So don't look at this number and think this is it, it's exactly what I'm going to bring. There's 3 things determine what you bring: age, purchase price, and interest rate. As interest rates fluctuate weekly, this will fluctuate weekly. How many of you are looking at building a home? Anybody? There's actually, it's really a good time to build a home. Does anybody know why I say that? Because if you try to find an existing home that meets your needs, and Kathy can attest to this, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Most of you want one-story living, low or no maintenance, and if you go out to try to find an existing home, they just don't exist. And 1 out of 10 of the listings that are out there are actually ranches. So it even narrows it further. And Kathy's got the statistics as far as what the actual numbers are for listings right now. But in a healthy market, I know she always says there's 12 to 14,000 listings. In today's market, there's been less than 5,000 listings for 6 years, maybe longer. So there's not a lot of, available units. So building is a great way to go. And I'll tell you why. I've seen this over and over. And I don't work for builders, but I do know that I've seen a lot of my clients get pre-approved to use this program. They go out, try to find an existing home, finally find one they like, put an offer in, and what happens to the offer? Gets overbid. They lose out. And then they get very discouraged. When you build, you are picking your lot, you're picking your floor plan, and the most important thing is you're walking into a home that's not going to have maintenance concerns for another 15 to 20 years. And that's pretty important. How many of you want maintenance concerns when you move in your home? Nobody, right? You want to just lock and leave. You want to enjoy life in retirement. So that's why I'm a big proponent of building, especially in today's market. So you've got that one-time payment. It dramatically increases your purchasing power. So you're buying more home. And you've seen the chart. One of the things that I've found is that a lot of folks will use this program to increase their purchasing power, but I've seen a lot of them take the money they free up because they're using this, and they give it to their financial advisor and they invest the money. So they get the best of both worlds. They still own their beautiful home with no payments, but they free up the cash, either the payment or the difference, to actually invest and grow. Other folks say, the heck with that, Anne-Marie, I just want to travel. Any travelers in the room? Yeah, I've had people love to just take that freed up cash and travel. Other folks just do their hobbies, spoil their grandkids, give it to charity. So everybody's different. And I am going to show a video right now of a couple of my clients that sat where you're sitting, what their thoughts were initially about this program, because it sounds too good to be true, right? You think there's got to be a catch. So I think it's good for you to hear from somebody that sat where you're sitting and what their thoughts were initially and what they are now.
I can tell you there's a way to have a payment, or to have your house and have more house than you ever dreamed of having with no payment.
The HECM allowed us to not only get into a new home in an area where we wanted to be, in a house that we wanted to be in, but it allowed us to free up money from the sale of the original house to buy a small condo for our daughter and grandson to be in.
Tell me about a HECM loan. And he said, my 62nd birthday, I'm going to go get in one. I'm from the school, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
It was a bit miraculous that we were able to pull all of that off and still have money to decorate the house the way we wanted, and not have a mortgage as we headed into retirement.
Why do we want to put all of our money into a place to live and then have no money to enjoy whatever good mobile ambulatory years we have left?
First of all, we couldn't have afforded a place that nice without deplenishing our savings.
The advice that I give to someone who's on the fence about HECM is nothing has gone differently than what we were told would happen.
It gave us the freedom to still be able to travel, have a nice home, not have to worry about as much financially. So it was like having your cake and eating it too. You can have a beautiful home and still travel and enjoy your retired years.
And we've got $63,000 in upgrades that I never would have thought about.
Because it was a life-changing thing for us.
And we did share it with other prospective
Yes, we
buyers,
have.
too.
Yes, we have.
It's opened up a lot of opportunities for us.
We were able to get a really, really premium home with a lot of great upgrades, and we only had to take less than half of the cash that we had available to the closing, which we're going on a cruise next month. We're going to Palm Springs, California in March. We're going to the Masters in April. We're taking an Alaskan cruise in 2019. I mean, these are things that we would never been able to afford those things if we socked all of our money into a home. That's all we would have had was a home.
So you just saw that was pre-COVID travel, by the way. But you just saw two examples, two different couples. One couple took the money, they sold a home they had in Westerville, took half the proceeds, built a beautiful new home, took the other half of the proceeds, paid cash for a condo for their daughter and grandson. That was important to them. The other couple, travel was important. So there is no right or wrong what you do with the freed up cash, but some of the studies that have been out show that use of this program in retirement can extend your retirement income another 8 to 10 years. And that's really important, right? What's the biggest fear you have in retirement? Outliving your money, running out of money. So you get the beautiful home without tying up all your cash.
I can tell you.
So how do you qualify? Well, you have to be 62 to use it or married to someone 62. It must be your primary residence. It cannot be a second home or an investment property. And the money you bring to closing, that $235 we looked at, that has to come from the liquidation of an asset. It cannot be debt. It can be a gift. Anybody got some rich relatives out there? Yeah, it can get gifted, but you cannot borrow the money. It's got to come from liquidation, which is usually the sale of people's homes. The types of property, any new construction or existing single-family residence, condos if they're FHA approved, and you can purchase a home up to $1 million with this program, $1,089,300. Think of California. This is a nationwide program. It's available in all 50 states. So you have that ability to go up to that and be able to enjoy the rest of that money you free up. Property taxes are still your responsibility, homeowners insurance, HOA, and maintenance of the home. So that doesn't go away just like any other mortgage or no mortgage. You still have to maintain those things. So frequently asked questions, who owns title to the home? You own title. The lender doesn't own title. The bank or the government doesn't own title. You own title to your home. This is no different than any other mortgage or no mortgage. You own your home. You can sell your home at any time. There is no prepayment penalty. You list your home for market value. You pay off what's owed. You keep the difference. So you own the home. You can sell at any time. It's no different than a regular mortgage. What happens when I pass? Well, the house still goes to your estate. No different. House still passes to your estate just like anything else you're on title to does. You sell the heirs would sell the house for market value, pay off what's owed, and keep the difference. It's really a powerful thing. It always passes to your estate. A lot of misinformation out there. Sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, you're going to learn all the catches, not today, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to learn all the catches on a Zoom seminar that I give every Tuesday. And if you look at the back of this page that's in your folder, it shows you where to go to register for that Zoom seminar. We do have in-person seminars the first Thursday of every month, but at 2 o'clock and 5:30 every Tuesday, I go through the whole program, A to Z. It takes about an hour. It's so worth your time because even if you can't use it or you choose not to use it when you're done with that hour of time, my promise to you is you will understand how this works so you can make a good decision. The worst thing you can do is not get the information and try to make a decision without having the facts. So I encourage you to join that either in person or in Zoom, and if you cannot do Zoom or be in that our office. Our office is in Dublin on Emerald Parkway. On that first Thursday of the month, we will meet with you one-on-one. We'll do in-person meeting or phone calls. We also encourage you to get your financial advisor involved, get your children involved, and get the facts so you can make a good decision. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Before I introduce our next guest, so on your table there is a form. It's Kathy Cairo Group form. If you want to be entered to win the beautiful gift basket that Kathy's put together for you, fill out that form. We're going to use those forms to draw a winner for that basket. So if you just take a minute, fill those out. We'll be collecting those, and then we'll get you entered to win that. Okay, our next guest speaker is Corey Sickles, and coincidentally, he's going to be talking about gaining confidence that your money will last as long as you do, as Anne Marie just alluded to. So Corey has over 20 years of experience in the financial services and insurance industry, and is owner and managing member of Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors, LLC, and president of Safe Harbor Retirement Group, LLC. Please help me welcome Corey to the stage. Thanks, Corey.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to take just a few minutes today and talk about some of the essentials really for a secure retirement. If you actually go to our website, which is safeharboroh.com, there's a video right out there where you can watch. There's actually, I consider, 7 essentials to a secure retirement, but I'm only going to talk about 3 of them today, and you can actually watch that on your own time. So, the first thing I want to just briefly talk about is Social Security. How many of you have not already filed to take Social Security? Anybody? So most of you have probably filed already for Social Security. And when we start talking about, laying out your income plan, this is in most cases the foundation of anyone's retirement. You only get one shot at it. And what I would highly recommend is if you do come in and meet with us, Nick or myself, we can run a Social Security maximization report that's going to show, if you're married or if you're single or if you're a widow or widower, or even if you work, for the state and you have the windfall, we can still run a report for you that's going to show you on how to be able to maximize your Social Security. How many of you liked last year's raise? Right? It was 8.3%. Would you rather have a raise of $1,000 or have that 8.3 at $15 or $2,000? It's a big difference, because not only did your Social Security go up, but what else went up? Taxes went up, and your Medicare Part B, actually it stayed the same, but in normal years it's going to go up probably around 5 to 6% a year as well. So over the last couple of years, everyone's realized that there's a word, inflation, right? Everything has gone up. So even though you might be getting more from your Social Security, you actually might not be having more of a net income coming in, because things do cost more. So again, if you go to our website at safeharboroh.com, you can request for us to run the Social Security maximization report for you. It's customized for you. There's only a few things of information that we need, and of course we don't need your Social Security number as well. Another big one is investment allocation, right? So we kind of break it down into 2 things. We say green money. Green money is no-so money. You know it's going to be there tomorrow, at least the exact same dollar amount. Then we have red money, or we call it hope-so money, right? You hope it's going to be worth that value tomorrow, but more importantly, you hope it's going to be worth that amount when you do retire and you have to start taking money out of that. And, part of it would be, let me go back one. Part of that would be, if you look at, everyone understands stocks go up or down, but I think a lot of people were really nervous last year because a lot of their safe money went into bonds. Bonds last year were down double digits. And that's because that was the first time in many, many years that they actually raised interest rates. So a lot of people even thought they had bonds as green money. They really came to reality that it can also be red money as well. It can go down. So one of the things you want to be able to make sure of is when you're working with an advisor or working with something, that we do have a rounded of what we call no-so money as well as hope-so money. So one of the things that you can do if you go to our website is you can go out online, and we have where you can actually find out what your risk score should be. So let's just say you go out to our website. It's 11 questions, only takes a couple minutes, and you come back and you score 37. To us, what that really means is about 37% of your money should be in investments that are risk. And one of the things that you do when you kind of go through our process is we're then going to look at, when you come in and meet with us, we're going to look out on how you actually invest today. And I think one thing people are most surprised about is their actual score for their current investments is usually higher than what they actually think. Now, for the last 12 years, it's been a good run in the market, and I don't think people cared. But when all of a sudden, when the market drops down over 20% one year, people get worried, right? So one of the things I think it's important that everybody does is look at that risk score on an annual basis to make sure that you're allocated the correct way. One of the things I find out when I work with people that are especially retired is they don't care anymore about making 20 and 30%. If they can make 6 to 10% on an annual basis, they're happy. The thing they don't want to have happen is lose 20 to 30% of their investments in a given year, because then all of a sudden, what do you think they worry about? Running out of money. Now that they're actually taking money out of that in retirement. So one of the things we can do then is kind of realign your assets to get to whatever your goal is. Switch some of that stuff up. And again, we should do that with our customers on an annual basis, because you might not be retired today, but maybe next year you're a year closer, or maybe you are, and you'll find out that your score does get more conservative as you kind of go through life. So again, if you go to our website at safeharboroh.com, you can take the risk analysis, which is right on the very top page of our website there. This is probably the most difficult thing, I think, for a lot of individuals to really think about, is income planning. Because, a lot of people think that, hey, I can retire today, I can make it on this income. But you'd be amazed on what you're going to need years going forward, because your income needs to increase in retirement because of inflation. And if you don't do it the right way, then you could be, now you get into issues where you potentially could be in a situation where you do run out of money. Right? So let's just go over this real quick. So that income line is your need, right? So say you're getting John and Jane's receiving their Social Security, maybe John's getting a pension, but we all need a monthly budget, right? So in order to get the income you need, that's going to have to come from where? It's going to come from your savings. That's exactly right. It's going to come from that green and yellow money that we just talked about. So turning assets into income, it can be a difficult thing if you don't do it the right way. And this is just saying that income needed. That's not taking into consideration taxes going up or whatever that might be as well. So you need to be able to plan for that as well. So it should be pretty simple, right? Hopefully you build a nest egg while you're working. It's easy. You have an income coming in and you're saving. The most difficult part is now what we call that distribution phase. Now you're actually starting to take money out of your savings in order to generate the income that you do need. So, what do we want with our income? Well, we want predictability. Everybody has a monthly income number, right? You don't care what the market did yesterday if you need to be able to make $5,000 a month. So you want that to be predictable in what you have coming in. You also want to make sure it's going to be there for as long as you live. Right? And then you want to be efficient. How much of your assets are really earmarked for income, right? This is where we talk about efficiency. We're talking about maybe some products we put it into where it's going to generate lifetime income. But I think anymore, you really have to take taxes into consideration as well. Because I'm a firm believer, you know, when we start talking about taxes, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? It's a lot easier if you're taking money tax-free. If you take $5,000 out, you don't have to worry about paying any taxes on it. So one of the things that we do a lot for our clients today is we do a lot of conversions from IRA money to Roth IRA money as long as it makes sense, and we can actually help the client do that. So we're a full-service financial firm. Nick's back there in the corner as well. Income planning, we have long-term care solutions, which is another one. Again, some of the other essentials that I think are essential for a secure retirement, you can go to our website to be able to watch at. But, yeah. So what is our true job, right? Everybody's situation is different. Everyone has different income needs. You have different time horizons, right? You have different risk tolerances, and of course, you have different liquidity needs as well. But our job as advisors, and we are fiduciaries, is to be able to represent and put a recommendation in front of you that's going to be in your best interest. That's what our job is. So when you do come in and get a second opinion, so first of all, I do want to say this. When you do come in, every meeting that you have with us is complimentary. There's no obligation, right? But what we are going to do is we're going to be able to provide you these things: a Social Security maximization report if you haven't triggered Social Security. We call this the allocation roadmap, which is going to show you on how you're allocated today and what it's going to look like for you tomorrow. We have a Morningstar report, which kind of gives you an overview of how you're invested today. What am I been averaging in my portfolio? What's my risk level? Things like that. And then, of course, we're going to provide you what we call our Compass report, which is an income report that's going to show you what it's going to look like, now, but more importantly, when you are retired. We have 2 locations. We have one in Dublin. We have one in Easton. We also do Zooms as well, if that's what you want to do. But what I would end up saying, again, I want to make sure everyone understands that, when you do come in and meet with us, there is no obligation. It is complimentary, and we're really here to help you to have the best retirement that you possibly can. Thank you. Thanks, Corey.
All right. Thank you, Corey. So we have heard from Anne Marie about how to purchase your home without a mortgage, and Corey's talked about our financial future. And up next, we are going to hear from Adam Huffman. And as Adam makes his way down here, Adam is with the Jarvis Law Firm. He's going to be talking about wills, trusts, and who do I trust? So hopefully he'll give us some direction there. Adam is an elder law attorney with Tim Jarvis, and he's actually standing in for Tim Jarvis today, who was unable to be here, but we're in good hands with Adam. So please join me in welcoming Adam to the stage.
Thank you, everybody. Very nice to be here, and thanks to Kathy for setting this all up and inviting us here. Thank you. That'll go to the next one. So, like Andy mentioned, my name is Adam Huffman. I am one of the attorneys with Jarvis Law Office, and what we do, obviously most of you are probably familiar with estate planning, things like wills, powers of attorney, trusts, and that's definitely one thing that we do. But something that I wanted to talk a bit about today is a different offering that we have started in our firm. We call it Elder Care Navigation, which is basically a way to help guide families through what happens if care is needed. And there are lots of different resources you can rely on: your doctor, your neighbor, your family and friends, but might not be able to give all of that advice in one place. We're trying to be that one-stop resource for families as they're navigating care and needing to coordinate that, both from a legal side, but also from a health and support side. So, as many of you probably know, you may have family members, parents who have dealt with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, just general care needs. A lot of seniors over age 65 across the country, and particularly here in Ohio, need care at some point. And that might be care that you can get at home. That might be care that your kids can provide. That might be care that you need to move to a facility and help 24/7 with keeping that safe environment. Now, obviously not everyone falls into this category, but as you can see from some of the numbers up here, it is a huge need for a lot of people over age 65. And so as you're navigating that, obviously you want to plan as best you can, but it can be really difficult to navigate that diagnosis and what happens next. So what is care navigation? How can you get to that next step of understanding what to do in that kind of situation? And that is a combination of things. So you've heard a lot of information today about how to downsize, how to plan to make sure your assets and your income get you where you need to be. And a part of that is definitely a legal plan. So I would guess, just based on who I talked to on our table, that most of you probably have a will, maybe a power of attorney, maybe even a trust. All of those things are part of that legal plan. So making sure that your decision makers are in place. Who makes decisions if that worst case scenario, dementia, Alzheimer's happens? Who do you trust to make sure that they're carrying out your wishes and also have your best interests in mind? That falls under that legal plan. A lot of attorneys do that. Obviously, estate planning is a very general title for power of attorney, trust, will, that type of thing. We just heard about having a financial plan, making sure that there's enough income, make sure there's enough assets to last you through end of life. But a lot of people don't necessarily understand all the care options. So you may have heard a lot of acronyms as you're walking around here, CCRC and AL and IL and all of those kinds of things that refer to different types of care. But it can be really difficult to navigate that if you don't have someone to walk you through. So like I said, we have created this care navigation program that obviously involves legal planning. We are still attorneys, but we also have on staff licensed social workers who can help families from receiving a diagnosis and figuring out what that means, all the way through to finding the care that you might need. This is really important because this can be a very overwhelming process. Again, if anybody's had a family member or a friend who has gone through this, it's very difficult to find the information, and it's very difficult to process all of that while dealing with the grief of whatever diagnosis or situation has come up. So one thing that we try to do is allow families to rely on us and our team to walk through that process. So care navigation is a combination of those three things: financial, legal, and care plan, to make sure that they're all maximizing the care needs that you have, but also maximizing the funds that you will need to pay for that type of care. And this can be different things for different people. You might need to clear out your home and move somewhere else, downsize. You may need to move to a facility and figure out what to do with all of the assets and all the stuff. So we have the resources, just like the people you've met today, to help through that process. A lot of times, families rely on kids, nieces and nephews. We've even had a few kindly neighbors step in those kinds of situations. So again, a lot of times new people that are dealing with this. And so, sure, power of attorney is the first step. That's really important. But they're also going to need, well, what do I do with this power of attorney? Who do I contact if this or this happens? So that's going to fall under that care plan. Get the legal plan in place, make sure those decision makers are there, and then guide that decision maker through what needs to happen. So like I mentioned, dementia, Alzheimer's, a huge issue. So many Americans are faced with those kinds of diagnoses, and those are the people that we primarily hope to help with this program. But also, I think even more so, a few people that I talked to at our table, it's even more difficult on those caregivers. So if anyone's been a caregiver for someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, it takes a huge toll on that person to care for their family and watch that transition happen. And oftentimes we see people who act as caregivers pass first because that stress is just so much on them. So we want to help them through that process. Whether there's a diagnosis, health event, things can happen very suddenly, we provide that support. So at Jarvis, again, many of you have stopped at our table back there in the corner. If you don't have a estate plan in place, that's something that we do, wills and trusts. If you have an estate plan that maybe is a little older, you're looking at something maybe 20 or 30 years ago that needs updated. Or if you have a family member, a friend, or yourself who's struggling with a diagnosis, we do 15-minute free consultations just to make sure that we can help, and then we can move you through the process that way. We also have many seminars, so we provide information for the community, both online and in person. And again, kind of similar to today, just a little more in depth on what we do. And that information is available back at our table as well. But just in closing here, obviously many of you know that the importance of a will, estate planning, and elder law is a lot more than that. And you don't know what you don't know. So that's where we come in. Thank you.
Awesome. Got my hands full here. Thanks, Adam. Great stuff. Okay, is Chris here from Auction Ohio? Is he going to be speaking? Brian's here. Hey, Brian. How are you? You kind of like him, is that? So Brian is with us today from Auction Ohio. Auction Ohio is Central Ohio's premier auction site, offering online and live auctions, offering your unwanted items to thousands of customers every month. So if you would, please join me in welcoming Brian.
Video first.
Oh, okay.
I think he's going to put a video on, is what I understand. At least that's what Papa told me. So go ahead and watch the video, and then I'll begin to talk to you a little bit about how we can help.
I grew up in the auction business, in a family-run business. Probably the greatest gift that I took from that was not learning the auction business, but a work ethic. And I think that work ethic for us today is probably our greatest strong point. We've built a company around that. Auction Ohio was founded in 1997 in Columbus, Ohio. At that time in the auction world, we began to see the differences and the changes, and we decided that this is how we're going to do it, and this is how it's going to be better. In a live auction format, the way that we used to do it, if we were to expect a buyer to show up at an auction, to park 3 or 4 blocks away, to walk to the auction, and then look at those things they wanted to buy, and maybe they would see the table they were interested in, and upon looking at that table, decided they wanted to try to buy it, but it didn't sell until later in the auction, and maybe that was 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so they've arrived at 9 in the morning and stood around, and it's time for the table to sell. It's time for their moment of glory, and someone outbids them on the table, pays more than they're willing to pay. They leave in frustration, drive all the way back home, and at about 6 in the evening, sitting around the dinner table, the conversation is a little like this: we're not doing that again. And that's the world we live in today. The first event that happened in our world about 5 years ago was we had a company that came to us and needed to sell some equipment. And prior to that, we had conducted many auctions in a live and an online format simultaneous. We had never done an auction that was just online bidding only. And so my comment to the owner was, I'll be happy to do that. I don't think it's going to be a very good outcome. And much to our surprise, when that auction was concluded, the prices were very, very strong. The experience was very, very favorable. It was very good for the buyers as well as the seller. And so we decided at that point that there's a reason to look at moving into an online auction format only. Things are changing and they're changing fast, and as a result, we've embraced that and we found a better way to be able to sell things. Generation before, when your grandmother bought the dining room suite and she saved nickels and pennies and dimes, and when she saved up enough money, she went out and bought the dining room suite and she took it home and she treasured it. Every experience in life and family in that generation happened around that dining room table. Every memory that she had, every family sat down for dinner. That doesn't happen today, but that's what did used to happen. The next generation says it's just a dining room table. It's okay. I'm going to put it on Craigslist, or I'm going to put it on eBay, or I'm going to donate and give it away. I don't care. I'm just done with that. I'm finished with the table. That challenge of what do I do with all of these things that are important to me, that have been my life? How do I feel better about selling those things? And opening up the world as the marketplace is a better way. And the world is the marketplace today, and technology has made that possible. We have the ability in all of our auctions that we do today to have somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000 unique IP addresses that visit that auction. My question to a seller would be, how can you bring that many buyers into your home to look at your possessions? We don't worry about weather. We don't worry about the time that the auction takes place. It's a better time because of evening times and the ability for buyers to bid at any time. It is altogether a better experience for the seller as much as it is for the buyer. Whether you are buying or selling, we are your trusted point of contact. AO Auctions is a one-of-a-kind auction experience.
That's all I got. Kidding. How many have seen that video before? A few of you. He does a pretty good job. It's so true. How many of you in the room would say, did that take me through the slides? Whew. It's good to have instruction. How many of you would say that stuff controls your life? And if you're honest, you'll raise your hand. If you don't know what I mean, house, car, money, dining room table, 8-track player, I heard Kathy talk about earlier. It controls what you do and how you do and when you do. Can you all in the room just take a big deep breath? You've heard about estate planning. I've heard about finances. You have businesses in the room in the back that can help you with flooring and trucking and keep you safe. You're here not by accident, I wouldn't think, right? You're here because you said, that sounds good. I need help, Kathy. Can you help me? And you showed up today and you said, I'm going to take a step forward. And I'm here to talk to you about the auction process. But I'm just thinking, and Kathy, I hope this is okay, but what's the next step is what I would challenge you with today. Do you know what that is? And you probably didn't know when you came in, but I would challenge you. You have to have a plan to get from A to B, or you're just going to get there whichever way life takes you. So if you want to downsize, and I believe you do, you're here for a reason, what's that next step? And I just share that with you. That's just free. I see a lot of you every year, and I love seeing you, but I think hopefully this year you find this becomes easier. We are here to help you, and I think Kathy more than anybody wants to make it easy for you. And I think Paula would tell you the same thing. If we come into your home, we don't want you to be overwhelmed. We want you to have us come in your home to see what you want us to sell. We most certainly don't want to sell what is the most prized and most important possession to you, right? If you want to keep it and it fits in a box and it doesn't hinder your life to move to the next place, keep it. But the stuff that you don't need to downsize and take to the next place, to take to the next chapter, we're here to make it easy for you, okay? The online auction process is not hard for you. In fact, there's really nothing that we really need you to do other than tell us what you want us to help you sell. One of the comments I heard in the back earlier was, well, okay, I'll call you once I've donated it all, I've thrown it away, and I'll have you come in and sell what I think you want to sell. So how many in the room are experts on selling stuff? Don't call us once you've went through all the pain. Because what do you do when you stand there in your house and this is what you do? Hey, John, is this worth selling? I don't know, Margaret. Why does it matter? Because we got to get rid of it. Should we donate it? Should we sell it? John's, I don't know and I don't care. I'm trying to watch the Bengals play football and don't bother me with what we're going to do with the stuff. And so what do? You hire a dumpster, they come in, and you just throw it all away. Or you donate it all away. Or you give it all away because at the end of the day you go, this is too difficult. Just call. Just have us come in. We'll at least get you started down the right path. One thing we can't tell you, what we most certainly can't tell you is, what do you want to keep? Right? I mean, we can give you some answers, and you might not like those answers when we tell you to sell the most valuable stuff you have sitting in your home, because you say, well, I want to take that with me, or I want to keep that, or that's important to me. So figure out what it is you want to keep, what it is that is important to you. But most certainly, don't leave today, drive back home, sit back down in your home and go, well, that was good information today. Let's look at it in about 6 months from now, maybe a year from now. Maybe when Kathy sends us an email again to come to another event, we'll come and sit again, and then maybe we'll make that decision. There are, I don't know how many people here with Kathy, how many people around the room that just want to help. Let us help you. So, other than that, the auction process is easy. We have just some statistical numbers, but just gives you some ideas of the people that want to buy your stuff. In Columbus, in Ohio, around the world, they like buying stuff, and probably your stuff. It's a proven process. So, other questions that were asked, can it be done from my home? Do I have to move it? What's cheaper? Paula. She answers that question for you. It's that whole question about what do I throw away, what do I donate, what do I sell? Paula. Call the office. Can Paula please come out? She'll help you know, is it better to sell from the home or sell from our place, a business? But once we decide that, photo, described, put online, the bidding is a 5 to 7 day process. So they're going to bid on it for 7 days. And it's going to start at $1. And you go, oh my gosh, my stuff's worth more than $1. I agree. But you got to start somewhere. And when you need to sell your stuff and you're trying to figure out what it's worth, the buyers will tell you what your items are worth. Whether it's a $120,000 Mustang that started at $1, it happened, right? Started at $1, but it sold for $120,000. Or if it's an antique syrup dispenser that sold for $2,000. Or a peanut dispenser that sold for $4,000. Where did it start? $1. The $1 is to tell the buyers, we want to sell our stuff. And in fact, we want you to buy it, and we want you to tell us what it's worth. And if you don't mind, will you come and pick it up and take it home? Because I no longer want it in my house. That's kind of how it works. So, online, 7 days. They tell you what it's worth. They come and pick it up and pay for it, and then we send you a check for the difference of the commission that's charged. And what's the commission? Depends on how much work we got to do and what value of the items that we're going to sell. And we'll have a perceived value. We're going to tell you that based on what the commission is we charge. That's a your place and our place. Got a little ahead of myself. We do have trucking services. We do have waste services. We do drop trailers and let you fill it if you want. How many in the room want to fill their own trailer of their stuff? Not many people. That option is available. I don't know that I can tell you much more than what you probably already know in the auction business. But bottom of my heart, and genuinely, thank you for letting us be here. Kathy does an awesome job. I think you should give her a round of applause for putting this on. And most importantly, as I'm done, give yourself a round of applause for being here to take the next step. And challenge yourself when you go home, what's that next step?
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that insight. Great stuff. Kathy, would you please join me up here? As you know, Kathy Cairo is the creator of DownSize Columbus, this great event we're at today. She has been serving the Columbus, Ohio area as a realtor for over 25 years now. So she knows a thing or two about the market, and it's an honor for me and those of us here on her team to be a part of that team. So I'm going to hand this over to her right now.
Thank you, and thank you for being here today. You guys are fun, and it's fun to see some familiar faces, but I'm like Brian. Okay, you've been here 11 times. Have you gotten rid of your stuff yet? Okay? Thank you. I got a joke for you. So, son comes up to his dad and says, "Dad, I got a part in a play. I play a husband who's been married 45 years. And the dad says, "That's great, son. Maybe next time you'll get a speaking part." All right. Some of you are just getting it. So, all right. I wanted to, yeah, thank you. All the husbands got it. So I want to talk to you very quickly here about the value of your home. We've been in a crazy, crazy market in Central Ohio, have we not? We used to be thrilled when homes sold in 30 days or less. Now they're selling in 30 minutes, and we're getting impatient if it hits an hour. So anyway, I want to talk to you very quickly about your house, because again, I want to come into your living rooms and talk to you about your house, so I'm not going to take a whole lot of time here. But my team loves working with downsizers. It's kind of our niche. And we look at the meeting in your house not as just an opportunity to sell your house, but as Brian so eloquently put, we recognize it's a process. So we really come as a consultant to say, how do we start and get you down the road to where you want to go? So we're going to talk first of all about just what the value of your home is in this market. How hot is hot? Meaning, how hot is the housing market? Well, the typical Central Ohio housing market has about 15,000 active listings in the MLS. If those of you who owned a home from 2005 to 2012, you remember the recession where our home values dropped considerably. That was because we got almost 30,000 homes on the market during that time. Starting in 2013, we have rarely had more than 5,000 homes on the market, so a third of what we needed. Post-COVID, we barely hit 3,000. I don't know what the number is today, but it's somewhere around 2,700 to 2,900 homes on the market right now. So in spite of rising interest rates and in spite of what we hear in the media that there's been a slowdown in the market, it's a little bit confusing because actually it's not really a slowdown. 2 years ago we had 40 showings on your home with 15 offers. All the interest rates have done, the higher interest rates have cleared about 2/3 of those from the table, but we still have buyers who want your home. We still have very uneven supply and demand. And as all of you know, employment in Central Ohio by 2025, we will have 50,000 more people in our, and that's just the employees. That doesn't count their families. So it is like adding Westerville into the community of Central Ohio. Those of you who live in northeast Columbus have already seen it. If you live in the Johnstown area, you already see the infrastructure going in. So when those people start coming, we will really see a demand for houses. Columbus is rates number 15 in the for the fastest growing cities in the nation. The first time we've hit the top 20 ever since they've been keeping statistics. We are one of the top 3 cities in the nation, what they call emerging markets, which means the people coming in is more than the people going out. We've never made that list, and we hit number 3 this year. What has this hot market meant for Central Ohio? Well, in the past, we've seen that well-priced homes have sold in days, if not hours. It means that you have not had to do any repairs on your home to sell it. Some of you who are afraid to have me come because you just haven't kept up the house the way you wish you could, and we're still in a market where that doesn't matter. It's a house, it has a roof, somebody wants it. It means that the buyers have been willing to pay more than appraised value for your home. We've had buyers still paying over list price, still willing to cover any gap with cash if your home doesn't appraise. So we are still seeing a very favorable market for homeowners to sell their home. Also, are we still in that hot market? Yes, we are, but not like 2021. The rising interest rates, inflation, and economic uncertainty have sucker punched the market. And again, what it means is you need a realtor who knows what they're doing, because pricing your home is very critical. Some of you might be seeing some of your neighbors' homes staying on the market. Some of your neighbors' homes are out there 3 weeks a month, and you're saying, what's wrong with the house? Because our neighborhood used to sell in an hour, and I'm saying there's nothing wrong with the house, there's something wrong with the price. It's probably priced too high. So again, pricing your home right to attract that buyer who not only is going to give you a quick offer, but is also going to absorb any repairs that need to be done, give you any cash if the home doesn't appraise. That's still possible, you just need to price your home right. Good homes, well priced, will still get strong, quick offers. The buyer is not as willing as they were 2 years ago to give every advantage to the seller. That's just the truth. We've missed that. That train has left the track. Those of you who are waiting for 5% interest rates to come back, we will not live that long. None of us here. Even some of the younger faces I'm seeing here probably will not live long enough to see 5% interest rates again. But here's what we are going to see. Coming into the spring of 2024, what most experts say is we are going to see a steadying of interest rates. We might see a drop into the 6s. How many of you bought a house when it was 18%? Or double digit? Okay, would you all just raise your hand and tell everybody stop whining over 7%? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 18% interest rate. So we may see a drop to 6. What we are very likely to see is pent-up demand to sell a home. You know, we have a lot of people who are sitting on 3% interest rates in their home. They don't want to sell because whatever they buy, they're going to be at 6.5 or 7. You can only do that so long. You know, time takes its toll, and if you're waiting around for those rates to drop again, that is not likely to happen. Is it 2008 all over again? I hear that a lot. Well, I don't want to do anything because we're in a bubble and it's going to burst. Well, no, we still have a shortage of houses. We still have willing buyers. We still have 50,000 potential homeowners moving to Central Ohio. So I am not a wise economist, but I do understand supply and demand. And as long as we have 5 times as much demand as we do houses, we are not likely to see the value of your home start to tank. Now, we will see a slowing. Many of us live in communities that saw double-digit appreciation between 2019 and 2023. We're not going to see that. We may settle down to 3 to 5% appreciation, but home ownership is still a great investment. It's still one of the most important wealth generators you have, and that is not going to change over the next several years. So is now the time to sell? Well, I don't know. You know, I don't know. That's the reason, one of the things we like to do when we come meet with you is we like to sit down and hear your life plan. What is it? What are your goals? What's your timing? And you know what? I'll tell you what, because I've sat at a lot of dining room tables, I have heard I don't know quite a bit, and I've also heard if there's couples that one disagrees with the other. One's ready to head to the villages in Florida, and the other person says, no, my grandkids are here, and you know, I'm never going to leave. So again, what my job job is to sit down and give you sort of a high-level view of what's going on to help you narrow down what your timing is, what your choices are, and that sort of thing. So, again, if you have need, let me tell you some of the services we can offer you. First of all, I have a tremendous team. If you stop by our table back there or looked at the black T-shirts, I think that we are absolutely in the top 1% in Central Ohio for the number of homes we sell. And let me tell you why that's important. Because there are 10,000 realtors in Central Ohio, which is about 9,870 too many. But let me tell you what that means. If we have only 2,500 homes on the market and we have 10,000 realtors, how many of them have experience listing homes? Okay, not a lot. And so you want to list a home with a team that lists enough homes that in a very volatile market like we're in right now, we have our ear to the ground. We know we've already sold enough homes this year to know what the market's doing to be able to advise you. And so we bring that expertise to the table so that you have a very good idea going into the process what you're going to have coming out of the process on the sale of your home. So we welcome you to fill out that sheet that's in your folders. If you'll take a moment, everybody that fills out a sheet like this and drops it off with one of my team members or at the table is going to enter to win a great gift basket. Brandon over here, raise your hand. Some of you, Brandon is wonderful. Many of you recognize his voice because he's on the phone. He'll follow up with a phone call to you and just schedule a time that is good for you, for me, or one of my team members to stop by and help you start the process. And there's no obligation to that. And as I said to many of you, if we have the privilege of having that meeting with you, one of the things we bring with us is this right here, the Freedom from Stuff brochure. We'll leave that with you just for thank you for an opportunity to meet with you. So again, we are thrilled you're here. I'd love to work for you. And so again, if we have the opportunity, we'll come give us a call, give you a no obligation analysis of your home, today's value, estimate of proceeds, and what's available in your next home. And this time only, those of you who got your tax letters in the mail, those of you told you what your home is worth, let me tell you what I've been doing a whole lot of in the past several weeks. Getting emails from homeowners who are absolutely certain the auditor's wrong, and would I help them appeal that value with the auditor? Happy to do that. If you guys send me an email and say, hey, I don't agree with this value, I think it's too high, you have the right to go to a meeting with the auditor, appeal that value, and what they're going to say at that meeting is, give me the data that tells us we're wrong, and that's the data I can give you. Now, I have to, most of you are going to get a Dear John email back from me saying, you've got good news and bad news. The bad news is the auditor's not wrong. Your value has gone up that much. The good news is your home is worth even more than what the auditor says it's worth. So again, sometimes that's an email back to you just saying, sorry, it sucks, our taxes are going up, but the good news is the value of your home has gone up tremendously. But there are about 1 out of 5 or 6 times I think, the auditor's off on this one. Let me give you the data, go to the meeting and keep your taxes down low. And that's a free service that we provide our people. So keep that in mind as well. So before we move on, I want to introduce Amy. Where is she back here? Here she is, right here. Please take a moment. I want to go from here to move right into our keynote speaker. You met her early on. I want to give her a few minutes to have a chat with you and just tell her a little bit about what she does and how you can overcome some of these challenges. Please give a big hand to Amy Cameron O'Rourke.
So I have the luxury of talking to you as the last speaker. Thank you for staying. So the hardest thing to talk about to a group like this is all the emotions attached to downsizing. And I noticed, I know the emotions with downsizing. I've been helping people for 40 years. If you go research the emotions involved with downsizing, you won't find anything. There's not a lot written about it. So I think that this group has probably read a lot of, or have heard at least about Dr. Kubler-Ross, who wrote on death and dying. I'm not going to talk about death and dying, but I'm going to talk about the 5 emotions that you are in. Some of you are in it, and I'll tell you when I think you're in it. Denial. You know, the people that have been here 11 years running could have an issue with denial. Gotcha. Second stage, anger. Third, sadness, bargaining, and acceptance. So Kubler-Ross and I and a lot of other professionals will say these aren't rigid. You don't enter it and go from denial, anger, sadness, bargaining, acceptance. You could be like my mother. When I flew up to Michigan to help her downsize, she said, I'm ready for you, and I'm one of 6 children. I flew up from Florida. All the kids in Michigan somehow were not asked to come up and help her. Family dysfunction, that could be another stage, but we won't. That's another topic altogether. So I fly up, I get in the driveway, I walk in the house, and she's smiling, she's ready to go. There's one box in the living room. I know, we're laughing. One box. So I called the siblings in Michigan and I said, Houston, we have a problem. You have got to come and help me. Denial. But at the same time, she was in acceptance. She had a place picked out. She had her place picked out. We came back to the first load, and she was standing in the driveway. Some of you may or may not be able to relate to this, and said to me with a straight face, where did you put the salt and pepper shakers? So we all supported her in the slug out that she was in the middle of as she was trying to downsize from her nice big home to a duplex. And I want to frame this a little bit for you. People think, a lot of people think, you live and then you die. And I'm here to tell you, statistically, if you've made it to 65, you're going to make it to 85. And that's statistically true. So what ends up happening, I love that. Somebody silently clapped in the back. Thank you, sir. So statistically, and I wrote a book on this, as you know, called The Fragile Years, the bell curve of life, you will be in the fragile years. I like body language, and I like standing at my table, and I like people walking by and reading the fragile year, and they walk away this way. Don't come near the table, because you might be poking me and having me to look at something that I'm uncomfortable with. So you don't live and die. You're going to be in the fragile years. And the other tip that I will throw to you is look back on history at some of the successful transitions you have had, and what did you do well, and what are some what I call unsuccessful transitions, and where did you go wrong? And you've been through them. You've been through them. The other is, I would say, how self-aware are you? I went to my niece's graduation, and Alan Alda was the speaker. I know Alan Alda, you love him. And he said, know how you are wired. That was his message for the students. Know how you're wired. Now, I know, my dad, I'll digress a second. My dad, when he was getting, neurological problems, he had Parkinson's, he had numb feet, he had trouble walking. Somehow he thought if he got a valve replacement that it would fix his knees and legs, and all mixed up. And I said, Dad, are you scared? He goes, I ain't scared of nothing. Right? Now, I know that if you're going through a big transition, you are afraid. It's new, it's uncertain, you are afraid. And what do you do when you're scared? I happen to get bossy. I happen to get controlling. You can feel the spouse kind of nudging the one that she's sitting next to. When I'm avoiding something, I wake up in the middle of the night. Are you in denial? Okay, ask yourself, is my stomach in a knot and I'm waking up in the middle of the night? Am I preoccupied? Am I distracted? Am I confused? Am I having physiological symptoms? You could ask yourself, am I in denial about what I'm about to do? I read an article this morning. It said, I'm a baby boomer who's not going to downsize, and here's why. And the whole article was denial. The whole article. I thought, wow, I wanted to invite her to my seminar. Angry. Are you easily irritated? More than normal. Not the car rage stuff, but you know, your wife looks at you funny and you're just irritated. Is that happening more than normal? Are you sad? Easily crying? Can't get out of bed? Feel muddled, heavy? Are you bargaining? Now, I can tell you on more than one hand, and this bargaining happens from what I'm going to call impaired judgment. And everybody here has impaired judgment. Everybody. Because we all suffer from our minds want to do something that our bodies won't let us. Every decade you lose 10% of your energy. Every decade. So you got the 1-year-old and you got the 100-year-old. You do the math. You don't have to even be a mathematician to figure that out. Every decade. So you're losing energy and you have impaired judgment. And what I was about to tell you is the guy that climbs the ladder to fix his roof. I don't know what that is with guys, but it's a real thing. They're bargaining. If I can still do this, I'm going to stay in my home. If I can still cut the grass in Florida at 94-degree weather, I'm going to not sell my home. I had a guy look at me and say, they're going to have to take me out in a pine box. You know, it is kind of fun to do this work. When you're retired or you're over 65, you don't care what anybody thinks anymore. You're just let it rip. It's very refreshing, isn't it? You're like, I don't care. I don't work. I don't got somebody yelling at me. But you also might not have in your life people that are poking you to say, why aren't you talking about it? It takes 2 years to emotionally process to get ready to go. And you've got to be actively processing, like my mother-in-law. She actively processed. She had no internal filter. She said everything. My kids don't do anything for me, and I live in Washington, D.C., and I guess I got to think about doing something because my kids are a bunch of lazy losers. That's how she started. Now, she has said over and over and over and over, you helped me so much. And this is your tip. You helped me so much. Do you know what I did? Nothing. I listened. If you want to know how to process, you got to have somebody listening and not somebody that's going to say, oh, you'll get better. Oh, it's fine. Oh, you'll be so happy over there. I want to say, shut up. Listen to me. Let me get it out. Let me talk through this. And I'll close with this because I don't have a lot of time, but I will tell you, my sister died 2 months ago. Fast, unexpected, devastating to the entire family. And she said to me, literally on her deathbed, you know, it's all about the people, isn't it? It's about our relationships, isn't it? And I was so glad to take that in. And I thought, I'm going to leave you guys with that, because if you're in the middle of downsizing, take my sister Sarah's comment and realize what is really important. I've got a thing that I love, and there's a lot of joy giving it to somebody else who's going to love it too. There's a lot of joy that you can get by teaching your children, because you know we're always watching our parents, right? How do you do this time of life? Do you do it just by digging your feet and I'm not going to talk about it? Do you do it by talking about it, processing it, walking through it? And it's okay if you don't talk to your kids about what you're going through. You know, it's okay. But who do you have in your circle? Who do you have that you can process? What do you do to help yourself? Is it a nature walk? Is it yoga? Is it reading? Is it bowling? What is the thing that you do to help you walk through your emotions and do that? And I will tell you, I have never, ever, ever been to a DownSize conference. This is impressive. This is very, very impressive. And I can't thank you enough for your attention. And you're very privileged to live in this town where something like this exists to help you get through it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you haven't had an opportunity, before we leave, Amy will be back at her table. If you'd like to purchase a copy of a book, and she'll sign it for you back there. And I'll tell you, I wish we had the time, because she has a wealth of information on how to navigate the last 20 years. I just learned I have 20 years to go, so I'm encouraged. We've got some more door prizes to give away before we give away the big Kathy Cairo door prize. While Andy is giving away the other door prizes, I'm going to carry this basket around for those of you who want to put your registration in. And we will draw from this basket to give the Kathy Cairo group thing away. Here you go, Andy.
Okay, thanks. All righty, so here we go with our last round of door prizes. And by the way, I still have this lovely watch up here if somebody's missing it. And we found it on the floor in this area. So okay. Winner, here you go. There you go. You're welcome. Okay, so our next door prize, Oakwood Management Company is giving away a Container Store gift card. Al Geneo or Geneo, Al's in the back here. Al, head up there to get your gift card. She's waving at you in the back there. All right, next we have Pulte Homes. They have an air fryer they're giving away. Lorinda Hobbs, you have won the air fryer with Pulte Homes. Next, we have Two Men in a Truck, have a Visa gift card to give away. Janice Green. Janice Green is the winner of the gift card. Congratulations, Janice. And up here, he's waving at you in that corner over there. Next, we have Trinity Homes. They have a restaurant gift card, and Cheryl Johnson. Cheryl Johnson is the winner of that gift card with Trinity Homes. And Been There, Dump That. I believe they're up here in this corner. They are giving away, they've got a candle, and Vince Donatelli. Vince, you are the winner of Been There, Dump That, and their candle. And then we've got the Forum of Knightsbridge. They have a mum they're giving away, Ron Cole. Ron is the winner of that. And Rockford Homes has a Panera gift card. Diane Souter, you are the winner with Rockford Homes. So make sure you stop by those and get your prizes. And after we're done here giving away this, make sure you do stop by the tables one last visit. Say hello to those you haven't had a chance to yet. And yeah, thank you for being here. So.
Especially our speaker and corporate sponsors are right here on this row right here, and they, some of you I know after you heard them speak say, hey, that does have some interest to me. They're going to be hanging out here if you'd like to go set an appointment with them or do whatever. Okay, so you're going to make a liar out of me. I stood right over there and said, don't go bring more stuff into your house. And now I got this big basket, so I'm going to check your integrity. I'm going to wait for one of you to say, no, I will not bring that into my house. Here. All right, so these are all the people who filled these out. I'm going to have Andy draw one, and then we'll see who the winner is of the basket.
Let's go middle.
All right. All right, who is it?
Margie and Mike Lord.
Margie and Mike Lord. Are you here? There, she's there. Okay, here you go. A beautiful fall basket. That's for you to take home and donate because you don't want it in your house. So, hey, you guys have been absolutely amazing. I'll tell you, year after year when we do this event, I'm just so privileged to have the opportunity to meet those of you. Couple of things that we want to welcome you into our community. Many of you put on your sheets to include you on your email list. We do send out, we don't spam you with a lot of email, but we let you know when our events are coming up, and we do seminars throughout the year. The other thing is that we like to do is just stay in touch with you so that you know how to reach us if you have questions. Everyone that's in this room today is on our website. If you go to DownSizeColumbus.com and you say, hey, what was that mover? What was that company that would bring a dumpster out to your street? Just go to DownSizeColumbus.com, click on exhibitors, and they're all there so that you can reach them. Also, if you are on Facebook, go to the DownSize Columbus Facebook page and follow us. That's another place we put not only do you keep up with us, but we put a lot of information on there for downsizers if I find good articles or good information. And as always, we are here to serve you, and it's a privilege to do so. Thank you. Thanks for coming.